Good evening, everyone. I am Daryl D'Souza, founder of Earthkeepers Connect, your host for this evening, the 13th day of the pre summit webinars leading up to the New Earth Summit in November, the second edition of India's first integrative summit on solutions for our problems in health, food, farming, and environment. I extend a warm welcome and also on behalf of our 10 Earthkeeper groups in India and overseas to our esteemed panelists of this evening. And we express our gratitude to you for taking out your time from your busy schedules to be with us and share your wisdom so that all watching this webinar and the recorded video later may have solutions for their common farming problems. So, our topic for today is farming problems and their solutions. And I will start with introducing our panelists to the audience. Irfhan Shaikh previously worked in the media field in Mumbai and he traveled worldwide on work. He started as a promo producer with MTV, VH1, Channel V, Zoom, and later on as an independent producer, director, creative head, working with advertising agencies, TV channels, and corporates. Finally, he quit the job as head content strategy planner with TV channels, advertising agency, and media house to proudly upgrade his life, as he puts it, to become a passionate farmer who invested in a farm in Karjat much before buying his own home. An ardent animal lover and nature lover, involved in animal welfare and loving nature trails, he relocated to Goa with his environmentalist wife and children to give back to the motherland by utilizing the skills learned in creatives and strategies. He believes the need of the hour is to promote organic farming and to create markets for the farmers. So he is busy aggressively setting up markets across Goa to promote sustainable farming and farmers, having completed solutions for organic farming right from soil conversions to final pest control solutions to marketing the products. Miguel Braganza is a promoter of organic agriculture and has been closely associated with the Botanical Society of Goa. He has completed his MSc in agriculture, in horticulture, and is specialized in fruit plants and products. He conducts training workshops in gardening and has trained others to do the same. His articles on plants appear in the Naveen Times, Buzz every Tuesday, and GT Weekender on alternate Sundays. He is also a consultant for fruit farms and eco-tourism projects in Goa and Sindhudurg district of Maharashtra. He mentors the Agricos Alumni Association in Goa, which conducts a webinar series every Sunday afternoon. Mervin Fernandes is an organic farmer practicing regenerative natural farming at his farm in Sakleshpura in Karnataka, deep in the Western Ghats. He chose farming after spending 25 years in the corporate sector, in the IT industry, retiring prematurely from a senior management position at Infosys. He is passionate about natural farming and natural living. Over the last 10 years, Mervin has been growing over 100 varieties of fruits, spices, herbs, and medicinal and aromatic plants in a single seamless forest-like ecosystem on his 18 acres farm, where he follows a multi-tier, multi-crop farming model. So now we will begin the 3 rounds of questions for our panelists that will conclude in 1 hour so that we can keep the next 1 hour for Q&A with the audience. And I'm sure they will have a lot of technical questions for us. So accordingly, I asked each panelist to address each question in a maximum of 7 minutes. To our audience, If you would like to receive the recorded video of this webinar, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The New Earth Summit. Our audience need not wait till 7 p.m. to type their questions in the Q&A box. They can do it when each round of question gets over. So here is our first question for the panelists. Could you briefly mention the model of farming that you follow or promote? And what are the three most common farming problems that are encountered in it? I will note them down so that later we can discuss their solutions in the next round. So yes, it's open to the panel. Mervin, would you like to take it first?
What we practice at Savera Naturals, which is the name of our farm, is essentially, like Derek said, regenerative, biodiverse natural farming. What is the guiding vision in doing this? First of all, natural living, or the desire to live and farm in harmony with nature and its laws. That's the underlying principle that is guiding our quest on this journey, as well as in terms of our lifestyle and everything. We believe that the best natural system that is intrinsically regenerative, self-sustaining, and perfected over millions of years of evolution is a natural forest. There's nothing better than that in terms of a regenerative natural ecosystem. Thus, our effort is to learn from a natural forest ecosystem and applies principles and laws in our farm to create a forest-like, largely regenerative ecosystem in our farm. We understand we cannot create a 100% alike system like a forest, which is very, very complex, but largely regenerative and largely which is on that model. We understand that in natural farming, we are working with complex, dynamic, and highly interconnected living natural systems and forces, which are constantly changing and evolving. So there is no one goal to reach. It's a journey. Throughout the journey, we are learning, we're improving, we're plowing back our learnings. So there's a constant observe and interact going on, like they say in permaculture, with our farming, the soil, the plants, and the entire ecosystem, and what is the yields and everything which is coming out of it. What are the four core principles that we are basing our farming on? First, when we say forest-like and natural, biodiversity comes very first. So you cannot do monoculture and then say it's natural, because nature is all about diversity. So biodiversity is the most fundamental, and we have to make sure that everything is biodiverse in our farm. Second, the key focus is on restoring soil health. The focus is not on plants or this thing, but on the soil. Because we understand once the soil is taken care of, soil health is taken care of, then automatically everything else is taken care of. And what does soil health mean? Microorganisms, earthworms, humus, organic carbon. Those are the pillars of soil health. Sustainable farming. We understand we have to be sustainable. And for that, we make sure that the use of water resources is judicious. We follow a closed loop farm cycle. Everything generated, waste generated in the farm is reused in the farm. We try to make everything small and local. Integration with the local ecosystem. So making sure that what we grow, the kind of crops, everything is compatible with the local ecosystem. We, to the extent possible, mostly to a great extent, we try to rely on native seeds and native plants, native species of plants instead of the hybrid ones. We also, when we get in plants from other regions and other areas, we go for hardy varieties and crops, which means something which doesn't require a lot of pampering, which has to easily survive in that ecosystem. Reducing plastic, even in a nursery, we try to use various alternatives like coconut shells, etc., and reusing resources. And the fourth fundamental principle is no chemicals at any stage, whether during planting, growing, harvesting, processing, or packaging. Absolutely no use of chemicals. Those are the four core principles. Little bit more on our natural farming model. Like Daryl said initially in introduction, it's a multi-tier, multi-crop farming model. Like in a jungle, there are multiple tiers, multiple levels of canopy that is formed, right from things grow under the ground, to the grasses, to the shrubs, to the small plants, to the vines and the trees. What are the kind of crops we have? We have 100+ crops: fruits, spices, herbs, medicinal, aromatics, nuts and berries, native jungle trees, etc. There's some of the examples I've put here. Fruits like avocado, soursop in the native category. We also have some many rare native, in the exotics category. So we also have similarly some of the rare native fruits which are mainly found only in the jungle. We are cultivating them. There are around 15 to 20 spices and herbs, around 50 varieties of fruits, around 20 varieties of medicinal plants, and various nuts and other commercial timber trees, besides a wide variety of native jungle trees. It's a multi-layer canopy I talked about, mix of leguminous and non-leguminous plants. Effort ultimately is to create a forest-like ecosystem in our farm. Where are we in this journey? We are somewhere in the initial stage, in the sense we have done the planting, more or less. Some of the, the canopy is yet to form because many of the plants are small. So, it's in the initial stages of forming, but planting is completely done on these lines, what I have explained earlier. What are the challenges we face? One is, of course, when it comes to individual crops, we may get a reduced yield. For example, an avocado yield in our per tree in our farm may be less than in a pure avocado orchard, because we may not have planted in a way that every plant, every tree gets an ideal sunlight, because they're competing with each other for sunlight. There's a lot of very dense, intense planting going on. But the way we see it, it more than compensates because the land is more intensely used. There are many more crops which are growing. What is coming down here is made up somewhere else. So reduced yields is one challenge. Second is higher labor costs, especially initially, because it's in a plain land. We have started this. So there's a lot of weeds which are growing. Once the canopy forms, it will automatically come under control. So de-weeding and a lot of other related work is labor costs initially tend to be on the higher side. Higher logistical and management overhead. If you had a pure, mango orchard, avocado orchard, etc., then managing it is very easy. I mean, when you look around, when you go there, make sure for harvesting, for other things, everything is in one place together. Whereas ours is spread out. If you take one block, it has at least 20, 25 different crops which are mixed together. So there is an element of logistical and management overheads which brings in. And we have to ensure cooperative and not competitive growth, because some species compete, some don't compete but cooperate. So initially we do mistakes without knowing that which don't compete, which cooperate. We may plant two which compete with each other. Those kind of experiences we have gone through, and we keep on perfecting it all through the journey. What are the benefits we have seen and we are going to see? Self-sustaining soil health. We have already seen the soil health improving substantially from the time we started, both the fertility and immunity. We have known our neighboring plots have had major disease attacks. We haven't had any such thing. We have had only some weak trees or plants dying, not en masse, everything getting wiped out. And in the long term, this will only get strengthened further. Distribution of income sources, we already started seeing this across multiple crops, across the year, because harvests come in, different crops give harvests at different times of the year. Some, some during the winter, some during summer, some during rainy season, etc. And across short, medium, long-term crops, because many of those are perennials, what we have planted, the fruits and spices. We have to wait for anywhere from 3 to 4 years to 7 to 8 years in different cases. For example, rambutan, mangosteen, etc., 7 to 8 years. Avocado, etc., 3 to 4 years. But as we cannot just wait without any income during that period, we also have short-term crops, like annual crops, turmeric, ginger, mango ginger, bananas, pineapple, many such crops, which on an annual basis or 1 to 1.5 years, we can start getting some income out of it. Hedging the risk of price fluctuations. As we have multiple crops, price for one falls, you can always recover somewhere else. So there's a better hedge in terms of price fluctuation. Weed control, as the canopy is forming, the weeds are getting thinner, and this will keep improving better and better. Same thing with the moisture retention. As the canopy is forming, more and more ground is covered with green or dry mulch. The moisture retention is improving and will keep improving. And cooperative growth, largely it is cooperative growth. Wherever little bit of competition is there, we try and over a period of time make it better. Yeah, and better suited for the model that we are trying to follow, which to the extent possible, we try to bring our farm produce directly from the farm to the end customers with as little intermediation as possible. if we have a large amount of produce of a single thing, then we are forced to sell in the wholesale market. As we have, little bit of everything, it's better suited for the farm to table model. Yeah, that's it. Thanks, David.
Okay. Thank you, Mervin. Put the question to Miguel now. Miguel, what is the kind of farming model that you promote, and what are the common problems that farmers are facing there?
Basically, what I promote is organic farming, and organic farming for everyone. Both the urban gardeners who are doing a little bit in their own balconies or in their terrace, or common like institutions or housing societies, as well as for the farmers. More than growing crops, I'm looking more at growing farmers. And that is where a lot of help is required, because there is no access to information. What's available on Google need not be relevant here. And there is no hand holding. And the third very important aspect was there was no supply of inputs. Irfhan will be talking about what he's doing, but that is one of the bottlenecks that we had till some persons like Yogita Mehra or Irfhan or others came in to make these supplies available. It's not available in the government system. We don't have a very good network of dealers. There are a whole lot of issues. So this is where I look at building capacities, at networking people, and of promoting organic practices across. Whether it's at the Dempe College, where I teach urban gardening to the students, of biotechnology, to bring a new set of youngsters into the field of farming. Biotechnology people don't normally think of farming as a career, but if they see the options, they will. I also work with the alumni of the Agriculture College, 2 batches which I passed out, hand-holding them, getting them into the right positions, encouraging them to be entrepreneurs. One of the rarities in people venturing out on their own. Everybody at the end of their graduation want a job, and they want pay at the end of the month. No one really wants work, and no one wants to work for profits. They want an assured income at the end of the month. And that is where I work to create the capacities possible for people to grow their own things. And networking is my strength. The other strength that I have and I bring to the table is the ability to take an insult. The ego is a major problem in Goa when you're promoting anything, and that is something, not that I'm ego-free, I've made myself that. And that I feel is one of the important things when we go for networking and for promoting of agriculture in Goa. Over to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Miguel. So the ego part is about doing that kind of work, being a farmer, or what were you referring to there?
No, it's normally not with the farmer, it's with the other stakeholders in promoting of organic farming. The egos are there. You do it my way or you don't do it.
Okay.
When you want to network 2, 3 people, that's where the issue comes. I have my type of marketing and I don't want others to do that. Or I'm doing this and you don't talk about it. You tell whether you're going to help or you're not going to help. So these are the issues that we need to work over. And I think in the field, Irfhan also is facing that same experience now. And he will also speak about it.
Right, got it. Thank you, Miguel. Irfhan, could you share with us in the efforts that you have been putting to popularize organic farming and connect farmers and produce? What are the problems that you are facing? And basically, if you could just briefly also share with our audience, what is your current thrust first?
I would like to thank Mr. Miguel. He was one of the first people we met and led in this group. Okay, when we came to Goa, we found like farming totally different from the rest of India. That is what we keep telling everyone, because whenever we try to get some inputs or whatever, we talk about acres and acres of land, Nothing like that happens in Goa. Goa, there are big landlords, and the farmers have a small Goa. Like what Miguel said about growing farmers, I really like that statement. Growing farmers. That's exactly what we are also doing. After coming to Goa, like we were just talking to a lot of farmers. What we like to do is go to ground level and talk to farmers. There's enough research. See, I've been from the media. I myself don't follow the research which comes on paper and the senior again, because you have to go to ground level and understand what the farmers want. Okay, so when we start meeting farmers, first thing they'll say is like there is no market. You know, and our like answer also is without market, how can 90 to 95% of the vegetables come from outside? Then they'll talk about labor. There's no labor over here. Third, they'll talk about is about the weather. Okay, of course, these problems are there. Like there is the weather. I mean, in agriculture, farming, three things are important. One is the weather. Two is the labor, and third is like the markets. Okay, weather. Like how do we tackle this weather? We always talk about not like the polyhouses, greenhouses, something doing some farming where you can control the weather. Control weather as in like put sprinklers, just whatever. Am I supposed to talk about the solution now, or what's the problem?
Yeah, just the problem.
Yeah. So it's about labor. Labor, I mean, we can get into automation and do that. And third is the market. That's what we're trying to create. Okay. Anything else like I can answer like in the next one?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Irfan, and to all our panelists, also Mervin and Miguel. So now we can get into a little bit more on solving some of the problems that farmers are facing. So first, if I look at Mervin's list, a few things that I noted down is reduced individual yield when you do a multi-cropping, and the second was higher initial labor costs and also higher logistical and management costs. So, Mervin, the higher logistical and management costs, are they only at the start or they remain all through?
The higher labor cost will be primarily initially, but the higher logistical cost would remain all through. Simply, for example, harvesting. When you're harvesting, everything is not in one place. It is spread out. So there is, there are trees not just in one place, one after another, continuously planted. In which case, logistically, it is easier for somebody who's harvesting to go around, look, etc. So, where the fruits are ready, where they are not ready, and things like that. So those kind of logistical overheads will remain all through. The labor costs are initially. They'll come down.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
But that is the yields. Yields is something intrinsic to this model. This is not a problem that can be solved. In the sense, the way to solve it is by having other crops. In that same, same space of, let's say, 1 acre, you get many more crops than otherwise what you will get.
Right. And the need to do the multi-cropping kind of model, the main benefit would be you get lesser pest attacks because they can't propagate.
So pest attack is definitely an automatic benefit. I mean, any very diverse system, the pest, you will not have a rampant pest attack. You will have only one-off cases of pests that affect you.
Yes. So that since the model is set like that, then you have many different crops at different places, and so of course it's going to take more time and labor to collect all of that. So it's a intrinsic feature of the system.
Yes. Yes.
Right. And I would like to ask our panelists, especially Miguel and Irfan, who are in Goa, because Goa seems to have this problem right now, especially after the pandemic. And even before that, when I was farming and wanted labor, so the labor costs seem to be pretty high, and uh, the other feature in Goa is we don't have local people. If there is somebody now, of course, the farming families, little bit that are there in Goa, they have been doing their work a little bit, but even they are not organic. They put in urea and all of that. So when people like us try to promote organic and try to grow more organic and we try to expand, then we need more labor than what we already have onto people. And Irfan or Miguel, what would you say about the labor cost in Goa? Generally, we have to take people from out of state. And have you all heard complaints that uh, it seems people are not making enough profit paying the labor. Sometimes the laborers are charging, I mean, whatever it is fair, 600, 700 also a day. So what is the solution to that, especially for a place like Goa? Miguel?
Yes, labor cost is a major issue, and especially when the cost per day of male or female labor in Goa is much higher, maybe twice that's prevailing even in Karnataka. It becomes an issue when you're doing costing and when you're competing against suppliers from outside the state. That's how most of the vegetables, everything has gone to other states and we only become a procuring agency. But there are ways to overcome this. One of it is by mechanization of part of it, whether it's plowing, the breaking down of cloth and such things, whether you can do it with a tractor, with a rotavator, with a harrow. If you can do these works, now getting machinery also is difficult. So whether more people can invest in it. There are already in some areas where private service providers are there, right from plowing to transplanting of rice to harvesting. We don't have harvesting for other systems. For example, if you have got coconut or areca nut, you don't have harvesting systems, but they are being developed, they are there in other states, and we have to find what can be done. One of the biggest costs in Goa is weeding. Removing weeds, especially if you're growing vegetables, is a major issue. Now, whether we can adopt mulching, whether it's organic mulching with leaves and such materials, straws and all these things, or whether we even have reusable polythene mulch if you're going to grow the same crop again after some time, or going to grow that crop in another plot. So plastic mulching also would make sense. If you're going to keep it, it's not going to be one use. Because weed control is a major problem, and if you're going organic, you're not going to use herbicides. Many people, even in cashew plantations, which are certified organic, use Roundup. It's a prohibited item, but they don't use insecticides, so they feel it's safe, it's organic, but it's not. When you are using a herbicide or any other synthetic chemical in your farm, then it's no longer organic. The concept of organic that I explain to most people is very simple, and the analogy is something easy to remember. We just simply say no one is just a little bit pregnant. Either you're pregnant or you're not. So also with organic, it's not I just use a little bit of urea or just one pesticide or just herbicide I use. You can't use. You are either one or the other. So if you're organic, then you have to be very clear that you are not going to use any synthetic chemical in your farm. Only thing that has been permitted for one use, non-fruiting season, is copper oxychloride or Bordeaux mixture for control of fungus, but not repeated use of it. Other than that, no chemical is to be used in the farm. And that we have to be very clear. And that is one space that we have to look at when we are looking at labor cost. The other thing is about technology. When to do what and how to cut cost. This needs to be known. It has to be standardized for Goa. You cannot take practices which are created in the Deccan Plateau or in the Indo-Gangetic Plains and use it here. Maybe along the coast, down to Mangalore, Kasaragod, Puttur, whatever is there, technology can adopt in Goa in similar conditions. Even in Goa, what you can use in Sangay and Kankan may not be useful in Bardez or Tiswadi if you are doing the same kind of work. Temperatures are different, the soil is different, the water availability is different, wind movement is different. So we need to have practices available. We have the ICR Research Complex, gives a holistic idea for Goa, but old Goa is not all of Goa. We have the zonal offices over the places, and we need to have some things happening there. The mandate for research is not there, but at least to do the trial for ICR in different conditions should be there. Then only we can take organic farming forward. And there is a central government scheme, the Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana, the PKVY, under which 500 clusters were supposed to be created in Goa from 2017. We are in 2020, that's 3 years down the line. You don't see the clusters. We need to work on this. And it's not enough to say that the government is not doing it. We as civil society, we as interested stakeholders, we have to move it to happen. The government, the administration also has its own limitations with the political setup, where the priorities are. If it's a land to be converted, everybody is there. If it's to be cultivated, they're not so much interested. How much will they get out of it? So we need to also lobby for the change. It's not going to come by itself. We have to make it happen. And that's where we need to work. And salaries and wages are not going to change. They are going to remain high in Goa. That's a given. With that given, we'll have to find ways of cutting the cost where we otherwise use labor.
Thank you, Miguel, for that. Multiple aspects of the problem that you have brought forth. And on one point, Irfan, would you like to also add something to that?
Yeah, like what Mr. Miguel sir said about automation. Automation, yeah, of course, like you have to get into automation. And then apart from what sir said, there are different apps also. They can even message and, automatically it will start the sprinklers, automatically it will start the foggers. So instead of 10 people, you can do work with like 2 people. So initially, of course, there is some sort of investment. And I think government is giving some sort of subsidies and other things like that, if you actually go through that. Now, I don't want to talk about all the difficulties in getting those subsidies and all that, but yeah, the solution is there. Another thing, like what sir said was, uprooting and mulching. Now, like at my farm, like what I have to do is like, I have to uproot thrice in a season, during the monsoon season. When you start uprooting in the very beginning, before it starts flowering or seeding, next year it is less. And I've actually experienced that. We in the very beginning, when it's just like, small plants and all that, we uproot, then again in the middle, and again last, during the end of the rains. And I think it, like all the bigger plants and all like vanish eventually. So in the long run, I think it will help. Yeah, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Irfan, for that. And on this aspect of, weeding, I would like to ask Mervin. So even I have been facing that where, planned was 1 or 2 things on a certain kind of bed and, a little extra spacing and all for it to grow. And then it turns out that in the spaces in between, we have, weeds coming up. So Mervin, at your farm, um, do you follow something? I am getting this idea that instead of giving a little bit of space also for weeds to grow, let us put in some, plants of our own. So let's put on, live mulch or kind of not give any space for weeds to come in. Uh, what do you say about that, Mervin? How do you manage it on your farm?
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
the basic approach in terms of the dense, intense planting, so that there is less space for weeds to grow. Most of the space is utilized by something which is useful to you. So, for example, we have grasses like lemongrass, citronella, which we grow in between. So, generally a wild grass growing, these are the grasses we grow, and then we use them to extract essential oils from them, etc. Similarly, we are growing some small shrubs, medicinal shrubs, which are on contract farming in the space in between, a 3 feet kind of distance. We grow also turmeric, ginger, mango ginger, kasturi turmeric, all kinds of root crops in all the space in between. So that again is takes up. But then, yes, the weeds are there, especially in our model, till the canopy is formed. As the canopy starts getting formed and the direct sunlight on the ground is reduced, then the weeds will automatically come down greatly, to a great extent. But initially it will be there. So what initially in the beginning, it was even tougher because we used to do entire manual weeding, because a lot of small plants everywhere. And if you do machine weeding with the weed cutter, the great chances that your plants will get cut. When they keep going fast and the machine, it goes very fast. So now we have gone past that stage because most of the plants are a little bigger. They're not that small. They're either a couple of years old or 4, 5, 6 years old. So, they've grown quite a bit. So that way, we use weeding machines in between for whatever weeds that are there. So that it's a combination of a little bit. I mean, fundamentally in our model, and personally, I don't believe in too much of technology. I'm completely against use of tractors, rotovators, those kind of things, because they compact the soil and completely destroy. In fact, initially when I started, I was not aware of some of these things, and I did do the deep ploughing of as per the local wisdom. I mean, everybody was recommending that you should do deep ploughing if it is a grassland that you are working on. Otherwise, you'll have a lot of grasses coming. We did that, and we suffered for almost 3 to 4 years to trying to restore that soil. Where the topsoil completely gets destroyed, it gets buried underneath, and the bottom soil gets exposed to the sun, and all kinds of problems keep coming up. Yeah, those problems are there. I think we can't wish away the problems, weeds and all that will be there. But somewhere we have to manage, like many of the co-panelists have been saying, a little bit of technology here and there, a little bit of live mulching, dry mulching. Dry mulching works perfectly fine. That again, some of the other farmers whom I have visited are very effectively used. For example, in one case, I mean, the issue is to get enough dry mulch. For example, in one of the farmers that I visited, neighboring, they have the sugarcane growers. So after they cut the sugarcane, that waste is there, which normally they burn. Same thing with arecanut. After they, peel this thing and the skin, they burn it. So these guys, as they're neighboring, they just ask them, why, instead of burning, give it to me. They say, oh, please come and take. We don't want it in our farm. It's a work for us to burn. So these guys will just bring the tractor there, bring it and dump it in their farm and then spread it all over. So as long as you have the ground covered like that with thick, dry mulch, then you don't have weeds. For us, the problem is, we don't have any source of such a large quantity of dry mulch. We try wherever possible. In the smaller areas, we try, like banana, dry leaves and all, we keep spreading in the space in between. Yeah, thanks, David.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mervin, for that. And, for people who are trying to create good soil, right? What would be and especially because we are talking of farming, so we're talking of, larger spaces. Uh, what would be the, most cost-effective uh, way of creating good soil? Because if you try to do it in a quick way, then you're trying to get a vermicompost from somewhere, you're trying to get cow dung from somewhere, and you're trying to get so much of organic composting bags. That of course is going to keep your cost high. So, what would be the most natural farming, simple kind of way to generate nutrients in your soil regularly?
That's a very important point that you have raised, because getting compost or cow dung or whatever from outside and doing it is not a sustainable practice, and it's impossible to do it if you want to do it on a large scale, on a statewide basis, on a large scale. It's possible only when it is done in small plots and small farms, etc. Few of them doing it, not everybody trying to do it. Simply that much of raw material is not available, is not possible. And also cost, like you said, is going to be prohibitively high. So there are three important pillars of this that we need to do. One is ensure that the ground is never exposed to the sun. So have as much as possible dry mulch or green mulch. Green mulch can be anything. For example, we just broadcast horse gram, not for the crop, not to harvest the crop, but just so that it grows in the space in between. It fixes nitrogen in the soil. Horse gram is a leguminous plant. You can broadcast any leguminous crops, but the problem is others are quite expensive if you are going to just use it for the purpose of later on cutting it and mulching it and fixing nitrogen and not for the harvest. So horse gram we use extensively in a live mulch. Similarly, dry mulch, as I said, whatever banana leaves, the coconut leaves in your area, you'll get lots of coconut leaves, arecanut leaves, any kind of dry mulch that you can get put it, and then add microorganisms to the soil. There are two ways of doing it. Initially, at least till the soil system by itself starts regenerating in a big way. So one is Jivamrit. Jivamrit is essentially make from cow dung, cow urine, and jungle soil. These three ingredients, and you add jaggery to it. So for the multiplication of this thing. There's another recent thing which is very easy, which anybody can do it without access to cow dung, cow urine, etc. Even in urban gardens, etc. This National Center for Organic Farming has come up with this 20 rupee bottle of 30 grams of this waste decomposer. It's it's a consortium of microorganisms, bacteria, that they are giving it to you. And once you buy that 30 rupee bottle, that is sufficient, that is enough for a 200 liter barrel. 200 liter barrel, you put that contents of that and put 2 kg of jaggery and keep it for 5 days, stirring it every day. It multiplies massively. You have the froth forming at the top. End of 5 days, you can dilute it to little extent, or without diluting also, you can give it to the soil. Now, the beauty of this is when you get 20 liters, you keep it back and you can make the next batch. Or first barrel you use entirely for making, so that one barrel you can convert into 10 barrels. 20 liters as the base material and water and jaggery added to that. And this can go on literally 1 year, 2 years, not a problem. For a very, very long time after that, maybe gradually that power will reduce, then you need to buy again. But at least for a year, year and a half, you do not need to buy again. Just with that 20 rupee bottle, you can keep on multiplying. We are using it. I mean, we have recently started using it. It's very effective. You spray it on the mulch in this thing. That mulch in no time composts and becomes soil. So whatever dry material, waste material is there, you just dump it in your farm, dump it in open spaces, and then put this waste decomposer on top of that. Similarly, you can also spray it on your leaves. You can make a micronutrient solution with that by using various kinds of seeds, like the various dals, the various the oil seeds, and others like neem seeds, and you can add anything, wood ash, everything you add into the barrel, add waste decomposer to that. 20 days, it turns into, it extracts all the micronutrients from those, this thing, whether it's boron or magnesium or zinc, or all the micronutrients as well as the macronutrients are extracted from those substances. And you also add to that some iron, rusted nails, some old copper wires which are lying there in your house. Everything you add, and it attracts copper, extracts this thing, iron, and then you can spray that. That's very, very effective again in terms of this thing. So there are many of these solutions available today with a low cost that you can, then any farmer can handle it and do it.
Okay, thank you, Mervin, for that. So just to know, at your farm, like you said, take all of this mulch and all of the extra waste that is chopped up, and you take it to another location, and there you put in the solution and make it compost?
No, initially we were doing it. Now we have, since we started using this, we have stopped doing that. So we do not carry the mulch. It's an unnecessary work that you're doing. So
Right.
Leave the mulch wherever it is. We carry the mulch only to the extent that, let's say, arecanut these leaves or the coconut leaves might have fallen in one place. So we carry it from there and spread it around in the farm.
Okay.
Not stock it up, not to make compost in one place. We no longer make compost. We just spread it out and then spray the waste decomposer with hose pipes. So what we do is we mix in a large, we have a 6,000 liter tank where we do the mixing, and then we have a 5 HP motor with 4 hose pipes connected to it. And this sucks out the thing from the tank and gives it through the hose pipes. And the workers take the hose pipes and keep moving around in the farm, wetting everything, the plant, bottom, everything. The whole space is covered, not only for the plant roots alone.
Thank you, Mervin, for that. Now I would like to put one of the questions that we talked about youth and also bad network of dealers, and so this question is going to Irfhan and Miguel, and maybe it's a little more a complex issue in Goa. So the first thing is that even a friend of mine in Belgaum recently messaged me with a huge, cartload of this bottle goods for sale, and he produced everything at the farm, and he's not getting, buyers or market for it. So, so putting these things together, the first thing is like we know in Goa, there is, of course, now because of the pandemic lockdown, all of the out of state labor have virtually left Goa, and we have hardly any labor left. So that is one aspect, lack of labor. The second is uh, people are producing organic in certain places, but the pull is not there from the market. The demand is not there. So obviously, there has to be some more widespread education amongst the public about the benefits of organic food. People just hear the word organic, but they don't know that organic food can reverse many of your chronic illnesses if you're on it for 3 6 months a year, and most of your medications can go away. And third aspect is this about the youth, because if we talk across India, right, and we are trying to promote a model where organic farming should be done in every state of the country, whether every state can at least feed its people. And this is what I had spoken about last year at the summit, that at least a place like Goa that has such good weather, the seasons, the water, such good soil, at least we should be self-sufficient in organic food production here. So you know how can a proper system, or how do we match all of these things? How do the youth, who we know that food is a problem today, so how do more and more youth get into this, and how can is it that they will get in only if the money is more? Then maybe the price of food really needs to go much higher for more people wanting to say, I think organic farming is profitable, and that's why I'm getting into it. So, Miguel and Irfan, what do you think are the components of what can come together, and what should we kind of promote here in Goa?
First of all, you
Yes.
know, like Mr. Miguel said, growing more farmers. So that is, I think, what is very important. The youngsters, I mean, they shy away from farming. They don't think it's a dignified job or the profession. So that is one thing about the awareness, you know, for a lot of, like, getting youngsters into farming. Now, why do youngsters come into farming? They will only come into farming if there is some incentive. So that is exactly what we say. When we say like we promote organic farming and farmers. To promote organic farming, there has to be some market. So that is what we are trying to create, the market. Now, as a consumer, you have to understand, people like the consumer will come to us and they always compare the prices, and with the local food which is available, maybe with poisons or whatever that is available in the local market, and someone that is grown organically. So you have to understand in the long run, eventually you spend more while eating chemicals. That's because you spend on the other medicines and pharmaceutical products or health supplements and all those kind of things. So, okay, now the buyers for us, I mean, why do they come to us? Only there is awareness. If they know, like, it leads to cancer, it leads to all the other ailments and all, those are the kind of buyers we have. A lot of people take this for granted. So I think, like you said, there has to be more awareness, as in why go organic and why go for organic foods. And in the long run, how it will benefit. Of course, we are coming closer to you. We are setting up this market each and every place so that these foods are accessible. Even big landlords and whoever we can tell them it's not a question of money. A lot of people who want this food, they don't have access to this food. So we tell them whatever the produce has to reach, the final consumer who is less privileged. And that's why, like, I mean, the markets have to be set up in different places. Like Miguel said, initially, there are a lot of egos and this whatever. Everybody has their own way of marketing. They think it's a small market, so like everybody is trying to get hold of this, like 10 units of customers who are there. Then what they are trying to do is we are trying to create more mouths, you know, and more like minds who will get into organic eating and all that, into these habits. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Irfan. So yes, now two aspects of that, with regards to the public. One part is telling them how much better life can get by eating organic. And the second, I mean, the part before that is, I think more education needs to go in. All of these sicknesses that you have, how they have come from these chemical based foods and packaged and processed foods, and not eating fresh, living foods in your, from your local area, because fresh living foods you can only get from some place close by or within your state. If you are going to wait for, if you're going to take it for granted that your state need not produce food and it's going to come from somewhere outside, it is guaranteed, most of the time going to be lesser in life and nutrition and more with chemicals. So I think that first part is also very important. People don't know uh, that the current illnesses that they have, that they are a cause of all of these, inorganic or processed packaged kind of foods. So, Mervin, I would like to ask you about this. In your case, is your demand surplus, or are you also struggling with, you have a lot of produce and it's not going out?
So see, like I said, except for one or two crops which are bulk produced, like coffee and pepper, what in this case, bulk almost 90 to 100% of the rest of the crops are sold directly to end customers. The awareness is drastically going up in especially in I think most cities, Bangalore very much so. A lot of people are now aware of the issues involved with the chemicals in their food, and how the lot of toxins which are mixed either at the growing stage or for preserving in what is available in the market, etc. But the important thing is there's also a lot of what can I say, as golmaal going on in the name of organic. Whatever people get as organic, it's very difficult to say whether genuinely organic. So that is another question which a lot of people have, and it's prohibitively expensive. That is where I think these farmer markets play a very big role. If we can start more and more farmer markets where the farmers can directly sell to the end customers, that will of course make it more profitable for the farmers, and for the end customers the cost will come down because the middleman's cost, the margins are gone away there. Plus, a trust builds up. When you keep buying from someone, even the farmer feels a kind of obligation, that he's selling to someone whom he knows. There's a personal touch to it, like it used to happen in the olden days. And for the customer again, he sees the farmer, he sees the problems associated. For example, particular year, because of heavy rains, a lot of damages happened, etc. It's not something that he just reads in the newspapers. He's meeting the person he's buying the food from, and where he grows that food, he will go visit those farms. So these farmer markets, I think, are very, very crucial for us to spread. From the point of view of creating awareness, I think they will go a long way.
Right, Mervin. I couldn't agree more with you, and that's the belief that I had also when I was doing the Earthkeepers Market in Goa since 2015. It was very clear that people should be given an option to come in and buy from the local farmers over here, and because that kind of produce is fresh, and the farmers tell them, they can interact with the farmers. So mainly our farmers say we grow it naturally without any chemicals. They are not, most of them are not organic certified, and people have a chance to, even go to their farm, and that's where the trust builds. Then people, if they are people are going to get satisfied with such local markets, then they don't really look forward to, get going to the main mandis where they know that it's coming from out of state and it's got a lot of chemicals. So definitely yes, having more farmers markets, I think that's also one of the main parts of the solution. So Miguel, that we have talked about this more organic farmers markets to come up. What is your view still about this? Uh, Culture in Goa, or the lack of labor, and how can our youth take it up more as a profession, as their mainstream income. Um, even I have come from an engineering background and gotten into this. Of course, just I don't do big scale farming and I don't live on it completely, but I do earn some money on that. Uh, so, what do you think are parts of this solution? At least if we focus on Goa, where there's a lack of labor and youth also have to get into it. Uh, what do you think is the solution for Goa? And if you could start with this one question, first one question to both Irfan and Miguel. Do you all think the local people of Goa actually are aware of the benefits of organic, or are they aware that they are sick because of these chemical-based foods?
The concept of organic is just about coming out. People are beginning to understand. Earlier, they thought that organic means you stop using fertilizers and stop using insecticides, and you use cow dung and compost, and you're organic. Organic actually is a philosophy which they need to understand, and the lifestyle that goes with it. Organic farming, by definition, respects the tradition, goes on to use innovation in that, which is validated by science. Tomorrow, it's not mumbo jumbo. Someone says that you use gomutra and everything gets cured. It has to be tested. It has to be shown to work, and it does work. Then it is something that is to be promoted. Now, when Panchagavya first came in, people thought it was similar. It works. And it works wonderfully. What Mervin spoke about Bij Amrut and Jivamrut or Amrut Pani, it works beautifully. Even plain fresh cow dung water, when sprayed on compost, even municipal waste, it works. So we need validation. The second part is, if you say something is organic and you're using a little bit of urea for it, it's not organic. We have to be very clear about it. And therefore, what we were promoting, along with Dr. Claude Alvarez and the Organic Farming Association of India, is the concept of participatory guarantee systems, where a group of 5 or more farmers take a joint liability saying that all of them are not using chemicals and therefore it is organic, and they were allowed to use a label. The government of India, through the National Center of Organic Farming, Ghaziabad, adopted that system, and through the regional centers of organic farming, this PGS certification is also available in the government platform. It's there in the private platform with the organic PGS Organic India, also available in the government platform. I think we need to work at groups. Unfortunately, in Goa, working together is a weakness. We don't manage to do that easily. The Earth Keepers Market is a very good example of how it has worked. And rightly, you allowed people to come even to your home and see how the vegetables are grown. So also some of the others who are marketing there. It makes a difference. The other markets also, we have seen that happening a little bit with Chiara Viegas's Goan Farmers Market, or the farmers market that we had set up in Porvorim, the Porvorim Community Market and Dacia, where what we found is more people were demanding the vegetables grown at Dacia itself because they could see when it was being harvested.
Right.
Right.
When you see what is being harvested, when you see how it is growing, then it gives you more confidence. We need to move towards the Japanese concept of community-supported marketing, where the people invest in the farmer, they give him money for seeds and for cultivation, and in return he assures them the produce. Whatever the produce is, season is bad, the produce is less, but they accept it. But they know that the farmer is producing for them at their risk, so he is not tempted to put a little bit of fertilizer or a little bit of chemical just to overcome his shortage of money. So whether it's a good yield or a bad yield, the farmer is not at a loss. The community supports his work and they get good produce. The value of organic farming and the organic produce you don't understand till you get cancer. Or
Right.
severe disease due to some chemical death.
We'll come back into the whole system question, but I just want to ask Irfan very shortly. Uh, Irfan, do you think that local people in Goa, they are aware that organic farm food is important, or they are absolutely clueless? Uh, I mean, there are few, like leaving out the few people. I think in Goa, what we've got uh, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people who are talking about organic and coming to all these farmers markets. Of what is it, 5,000? Beyond that, do you think that people in Goa, they are looking for, they are ready to pay something higher for organic, because organic is not such a huge scale operation. It is small scale operation, and it is going to cost more because of smaller scale, and because of the care and the labor cost, it is going to cost more. So do you think people in Goa actually know this, that the local people in Goa, do they know this, that organic food is important?
Yeah, like how Miguel sir said, till the time you don't fall sick or you don't get cancer or whatever, you don't realize the importance of organic produce. See, we have some of the customers coming, like when we set up a market in Margaon. We have customers coming from Kottayam, Pungolim, Vasco and all that. They travel so far because now they have realized the importance of eating like organic foods. Otherwise, like there's so many around, who will always compare the organic foods with the prices which is available in the market. Okay. First of all, coming back to farmers themselves, they think organic farming is just not putting pesticides. They don't realize they are also using manures. They say, "Nah, Baba, kai karna hai? We put only urea." They say Oreo, of course, to urea and gudi. I said that itself is enough, to kill. So that awareness has to start from there. Then we have to create the markets for them. That is what we are doing. Thirdly, like you said, Daryl, the awareness has to be there around health. And people also have to, they also have to lose and spend. Because one side is the organic farmer, I'll say like chemical free, produce, and other side is one which uses a lot of chemicals. To encourage these farmers, they have to buy. Only when we start buying, then there'll be demand in the market, and the farmer and organic farmers, they can grow more. So that is exactly what we are trying to do. We are trying to create this market, so that then, one is the produce reaches the ultimate consumer, and two is the farmers also realize, okay, now there is demand. Also the bad thing which is happening is see, the Goa horticulture department, takes all the vegetables and all that. And lot of farmers are actually there who can't afford the fertilizers and all that. So by default they are organic. If you go to the mountains, some hilly region and all that, by default they are organic. But then they will supply the same food to the horticulture department. Horticulture department in return will mix it, and then the same thing will come to the markets. So I think that's a total waste. And that is what we are trying to do, trying to contact all the organic farmers across Goa, trying to open markets for them, trying to, reach closer to the consumer. Because if the market is in Marga, how can the people from Panjim benefit? So there has to be market in Panjim, in Moira, in all these small locations, there has to be market. At least once a week, so they can stock enough for the rest of the week. Ideally, it should be twice a week. But as the demand increases, then we can also go daily. But for now, at least once a week, I think there should be this market across Goa. And that is exactly what we are doing. And we also see, like what we are trying to do is we are trying to make things easier for you to grow. During pandemic, like you said, Errol, everybody understood the importance of this growing their own food, and they went to do this. Now, as slowly the things are opening up, they're getting busier, and then a lot of people are again gone back to their work and all. Some have stuck to this. So whoever started, what we did is we try to promote their produce. Like whether it's a big landlord or a small producer, we're trying to get market so that they can take it further. Whatever, like you are the engineer, whatever your background is, you can start small. One has to also understand the job description has changed. Like of a marketing manager, what do you need MBA degree today? No. You need the IT degree. Because the whole job description and the qualification has changed. Same thing with the farmer. What we try to tell farmers is, okay, one is getting the farmer directly to the consumer. Of course, the consumer is very happy, meeting the farmer. So farmer also feels proud, like, okay, this person is taking his produce and all that, and he also feels a little dignified and all that. But apart from that, we also need to understand farming requires different skills. One is the production itself, two is the farm management, third is the marketing. These are different skills. So what we are also trying to do is so that it reaches like a new heights and all that, we are trying to segregate this. We are telling farmers, you focus on production. Okay. There will be somebody else will be the markets, and at the minimal cost, like of course you can say it's a middleman, but then it's actually not a middleman. It just to cover the logistical cost. Like when you used to do the market, I mean like it's 10%. But the actual produce what the farmer produces or the farmer gets is like just maybe one third or one sixth of the price. Correct. But with the markets and all, I mean, it's just come to 10%, which is good enough, because you're also putting in an effort, you're also conducting, a lot of people are participating. There are a lot of efforts which go into creating this market. We also have put in like efforts where we give like table space free and all that to encourage more and more farmers, So like eventually I hope like, as a consumer, let's start from there. The farmer will grow. But let's, as consumers, let's start, consuming more of this organic food. Till the time we don't realize the value of these farmers, I think it's very difficult for them to get into this. They will get into this only if there is market. And so more and more, like Mr. Mervin said, more and more markets are being created. If anybody wants to set up, we give the full support to set up a market. With all the produce, we are also trying to create market of certain people, certain farmers. We are telling them, okay, grow only bananas, only chilies, this. And we are trying to create this network. Like there will be so many markets across a week, every day, like or maybe alternate day or something. So if something doesn't sell here, we can go to the next market, we can go to the third market, and you can sell. That is exactly what we are trying to do. And I hope, and for this, we need support from the people, from the consumers. And for that, I mean, of course, the awareness has to be there. We understand that. Yeah, so I think that we're all getting there. We all understand the importance of organic food. We're all trying to, buy from the farmers and all that. One more thing which I want to see, there are perishable goods and there are like organic food. There's something like pepper, which is I would say non-perishable, but then it has a better rank life. So whenever you see a farmer, sitting in a perishable some food, should always buy that because the waste is half the. 80% of the profit you lost there itself. You might have 10 pieces, and if you just don't sell two, where are you making the profits? You've lost, So yeah, as much as possible, we should try to encourage them. We should buy like all the perishable items at least, forget about other things. Anyways, yeah,
yeah. Thank you. Yes, Irfan, thank you. Yeah, made a lot of sense what you shared, and maybe a little refinement that I can add to that is people now. Even we had first I started the market on my own family plot in 2015 over here when we did it in the public domain. Then what happened is that people who had spaces and wanted such a thing to happen at their venue, they invited us. So Saraya invited us. This is all in Goa. Then International Center of Goa invited us. Then we did it at Happy Home in Asagaon. And so so this one idea we've already spoken about, that in a state, people should, have more farmers markets in the state. And what we've seen that I think people who are interested in having this, and if they have open spaces where markets can be hosted, they can, and nothing is happening there, they can at least host a market there. And combining that with what Irfan has said, if every village over here, for example, whether in Goa in any state, if every village can, host one, two spaces where, doesn't have to always be a commercial operation where the farmers who are going to sell, they have to pay a rent to those people itself. That's the first margin of the profit getting cut. So I think it would be very good if good people in society who have such spaces can just offer it that, and it's just maybe what 3 to 4 hours on once a week or twice a week for a space of land that you're not doing anything with. Maybe it's just your garden, or it's just there are nurseries, they have some places which are, open kind of spaces, and it will bring a lot of customers, people, and interest to that if it's a place of business of, you know, so this idea of people coming forward and offering their spaces to say, let organic farmers come here and sell. I think that is so important. And if every village has, at least a couple of these spaces, then like Irfan said, if a farmer's produce is not being sold this evening at one place, then, while they're still fresh next morning, probably he can go to the next village, and sell it over there. So that seems like, something that will help the whole situation. Coming back to Miguel, that question that I asked about this whole integration, right? Lack of labor in Goa, we wanting youngsters because they are the future, and because we want food security, and we're seeing how important it is, trying to encourage them to get into farming. And of course, through your efforts, there are so many students coming out of agriculture college now in Goa. uh, but do you think, besides these efforts and incentives, uh, when would it be and what will it take for people uh, to say that, let me try organic farming? I think it's good. I think I can make money. I'll have more peace of mind. People like me came from engineering into organic farming from a completely different frame of mind. I came to it as a concept, as something necessary. And when I started, for most of the time, I break even or I'm at losses. So obviously, I'm not doing it. I'm doing it at a small scale, and I'm not doing it for profit. But if youngsters have to come into farming and see it as, uh, and somehow get profits out of it, what needs to change? Do food prices need to go up, or does something else need to change?
Basically, working in the farm was considered non-glamorous. It was considered something that was to be done by people who are duds. Part of our education system is a problem. When you go to a school and you are unable to do some arithmetic or maths or physics, they say, if you can't do this, you have to work in the fields. So the
Yeah.
concept of the child is that only the dumb do farming. Today, when you have you coming in, Nestor coming in, Suprajit Raikar coming in, and I was just talking today to Ramnath Raiturkar, and he also happens to be a civil engineer who's doing microgreens. In Margao, it's caught like a fire. So when engineers come into this kind of work, when a person who's done her MA Resource Economics in New York, like Yogita, comes and does farming, then people feel they also can do it. And today there are more people. That of the batch that is just passed out this August, one person has set up a country fowl poultry farm at Anjuna and markets it across Bardez and Tiswadi. We have got 2 students who have grown rice and they have marketed vegetables already at Shravan and Ganesh Chaturthi time. We have another person who's helping people set up small kitchen gardens in Vasco. She's working also with Irfhan and also conducting workshops and webinars for students of Kamal College and other college, now being invited to other schools. Even LD Samant School has called her in. So there are people who are looking at this, the youngsters who have graduated out with a BSc, a professional, and they are coming out and doing work with their own hands. They are growing vegetables. When you have schools which have started growing vegetables on their terrace using their canteen waste for composting, a school like St. Joseph's in Baina, which has done a wonderful job, or St. Francis Xavier School in Seoul, which conducts the Festival of Plants for the last 28 years in a row. This is the first year without a festival because of COVID. So you have schools which are encouraging students to put their hands into the soil and work. There's a government scheme also which promotes gardening in the schools. So once this generation learns to work with their hands, which our generation was told not to do, that is an inferior job. or that is for the dads. Not directly, but indirectly told that this is for the dads. When our generation passes off and this generation learns to work with its own hands, we've got a better future than we'll have a present. This is the thing that is most satisfying, working with the young graduates, mentoring them and getting them to work with their hands. It's going to make a change in Goa. We need labor more because we have not grown up working with our hands. Some of us were fortunate that little bit exposure was there, but not very well looked after. Even when we are doing weeding outside in our own compound, neighbors will stop and ask, you couldn't get labor? The pleasure of weeding your own garden, the labor doesn't get. The labor gets wages for it. But there is a pleasure in growing your own crops. And once you have that, and once more people do, then two things will happen. One, the labor shortages is something that we will come to terms with. And the second thing is we will appreciate the amount of work the farmer puts in to grow these crops. Today, if you go to Inox, we don't bat an eye when the ticket instead of being 190 is 250. But if tomorrow the price of onion goes from 30 to 35 rupees, we feel we are being cheated. And we may be cheated, but not by the farmer. The farmer doesn't get that money, it's a middleman. So direct marketing is something that will be required, and the farmer has to learn to get the just returns for his labor. Labor is going to be short, it's not going to get cheaper, there's no way, as long as there's tourism. Mining has collapsed, the tourism has partly collapsed, the hotel industry is in doldrums. All the people who are working there, wearing suit and boot, or at least long sleeve shirts and tie, are now working at home, doing their farms, working their gardens. I think they will realize what they get doing this than by going there. You may earn a little bit more money, but you have that happiness that you get from growing your own crops. And once we overcome the mentality that farming is for those who can't do anything else, I think the need for labor will reduce because the engineers can come up with solutions for farming if they're involved in it. If biochemists get involved in it, if biotechnology students get into it, if microbiologists get into farming, because it's something that they know, if people who do zoology come into beekeeping, then there will be innovations which will reduce labor. Those who are doing farming are those who have not got employment or those who are in remote areas, and they are doing it. If more people get involved, they will be the trendsetters, and that is what I am working with. These 80 students who have graduated out of which 65 are from Goa. At least 50 of them should be in the field working on their own, not in a job. Job doesn't change things, because job then you become an agriculture officer, you become a consultant, you become a landscaper, then it's a job, it's not work. When you work with your hands, that's going to be the change. And once these people work with their hands, then there'll be much more people willing to do that work. And I think labor shortages will come down. They'll not disappear, but they will come down with technology and with coming into it.
Yes, thank you for that. Those insights, Miguel. Now, just before taking Q&A, a question from the audience. Very quickly, each of our panelists, if any of our attendees would like to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you to, do you have a website? Do you have some contact or, where people can understand more about your work and also get advice from you? Irfhan?
Yeah, the number?
Anyway, do you have a website?
Yeah, no, they have a Facebook page, called Sulimark. That's there, all the information is there. Once you get there, yeah. I think the number is everywhere. If you want to take down the number, my wife Bhagishri, mostly she's the one who takes the calls and answers everything. The number is 7738667862. Okay, we also have a Facebook page where you can get in touch with us, and you'll find a lot of information over there. Just slowly we're getting them forming the website and other things that will happen eventually. What is important is working at the ground level and reaching the farmers.
That's right. Irfan, so if you could put that in the chat box, just in the main chat, and also mention that. So this is for people in Goa, right?
Yeah.
Mervin, how can people get in touch with you? There may be some people, I think, some people from Bangalore over here on the as attendees. How do you have a website? How can people get in touch with you?
If you want to check out about us, we have a website. It's called saveranaturals.in. We also have a Facebook page, which is Savera Naturals, or Instagram handle, which is Savera, SAVERA.naturals, NATURALS. We also have in Bangalore several options where you can buy our food or our produce from. One is a farmer market called Bhumi Sante, which happens in Bhumi College on Sajapura Road. Another one called Ragi Kana, which happens on Banerghatta Road. Ragi Kana happens every Sunday. Bhumi Sante happens first and third Saturdays of every month. We are there typically on first Saturday and third Saturday at Bhumi Sante, and the first Sunday and third Sunday at Ragi Kana. Apart from that, we are available at online platforms like communityfarm.in, houseofprakriti.com, localfarmers.in, and apps like PopMart or Farmizen. There are also some physical stores. In Jayanagar, we have a store called My Store next door. Another one in Whitefield called Origins, and HSR Eco Store, where some of our products are available. You can also contact me on my WhatsApp number 98452 12702. Let me repeat, 98452 12702.
Okay, thanks, Mervin. If you could, type that number in the main chat box, then people will get it. Miguel, how can people get in touch with you?
They can visit any of the organic farmers who are practicing. Like if you're in Salsette, then you can go to Laban D'Souza in Kirbat, or you can go to Terence Lewis in Verna, who are doing it organically. If you are up north, you can go to any of
understand the question.
Maybe go to you or go to Yogita Mera and see what they're doing. And there are other farmers who are also doing it, but who are a little bit distant. Like Nestor, if you want to go and see what he's doing, you'll have to go to Thane in Valpoi. Most of the bigger farms are far away. You can go to the Dempo farm, which is in Sal in Bicholi. Again, far away. You can go to Dr. Sachin Tendulkar's farm, little bit distant here and there, or if you can go to NB Eco Farm of Mahesh Patil, which is in Darbandora, Bagan area, Dabal Kilapal. So there are farms, but you should be willing to go a distance. The other place is to go to the agriculture college and interact with the staff over there, see what they're doing for yourself. The Ramnath Pairaikar School of Agriculture also is there in Savai, you can go. There is a government high secondary in Valpoi on Maushi Road. There is a high secondary in Ozri, which teaches agriculture and horticulture. You can go to them. There is one in Sangay too, the government high secondary in Sangay, you can go. There are people like Father Ave Maria in Majorda, or Father Balbex Pereira, who has a doctorate in environmental science, who is there in Chikali working with the youth over there. You can connect with these people and you can learn. You can, of course, always contact us. We are on Facebook also, the Botanical Society of Goa, or me personally. And now there are youngsters. If you are a youngster wanting to learn, just connect with the Agricos Alumni Association. They are there on Facebook. They're on YouTube, they're on Instagram, you can contact them, their emails are there, and network. Basically, if you want to learn, there are ways.
Thank you for all those contacts, and all of them I think are in Goa, so that's a lot of resource info for our viewers who are logged in from Goa. Now I'll go directly to the questions from our audience. Um, Manasa says, shouldn't there be a way to educate farmers on the importance and power of natural farming rather than just looking at farming from a commercializing point of view? So yes, the question is about uh, shouldn't we do it, and also is there any such movement to our normal farmers, converting them into organic farmers? I think that's I think that's the biggest work and the most important work that should be done. Instead of trying to compete with commercial farmers, why not re-educate them? So is any of that happening anywhere, Mervin?
Yeah, there will, I think, see, something very important here. When we as urban people approach it, we talk about educating farmers, how we should convert them, etc. I think it's a wrong way to approach it. For a farmer, this is not a hobby. I mean, he's making a living out of it. His everyday food has to come out of what he grows, and everything else, all his expenses has to be met. So you can't say, instead of commercialization, can we do this? Commercialization has to be there. I mean, for him, it has to be commercially viable. Okay. Our effort has to be to create an environment where organic farming becomes commercially viable for a small farmer,
Right.
and then educate.
Yeah.
Education can work only if a farmer finds it commercially viable. Otherwise, for people like us, like I come from a corporate background, okay, I can experiment. I can afford to lose money for some time and do it because of passion. But a farmer will not do it because of passion, because he has to make ends meet. He has to live completely based on that income.
Right.
So I think the key thing, that's why, there, as much as possible, creating these farmer markets and FPOs, for farmer producer organizations or cooperatives, where farmers can pool their produce and bring it to the market. I think these are the two things where the focus has to be. And then along with that, you say if you're doing organic, you can get better price. And there's the benefits, not only better price,
Right.
the benefits for your health, the benefits for your soil, and over a period of time, your cost will come down because you no longer need to put any external inputs like, fertilizers or pesticides or whatever. Your crop will be more resilient to pest attacks, etc. So, I mean, these, of course, you'll have to educate. But coupled with these initiatives of both farmer markets and FPOs or cooperatives, where we can, make the whole thing more profitable for them.
Yes, sounds yes, very sensible and insightful. Thank you, Mervin, for that. Irfan, you want to
Yeah, I just
comment?
wanted to say something. Like Mr. Mervin said, he said in the long run, it is profitable. That is what even the big farmers I've seen here, they don't agree to that. They think like, chemical farming is profitable and they have to use some sort of pesticide if they want to make it commercially viable. That's a very important point, which also we keep on stressing in a long run. In a long run, I mean, it will be commercially viable, it will be more profitable. You have to use less inputs, less fertilizers, less pesticide, because your soils are good, gas is becoming better. I mean, I think this sort of awareness should be there. And unfortunately, even the big farmers in Goa also say the same thing. Organic farming is not viable. Yeah.
Yes, Miguel, any comment on that?
Organic farming, the farmers know about it. As Mervin has said, it has to be commercially viable. It is his job. It's something like a teacher who's teaching and then you suddenly tell the teacher to go and do the B.Ed. Whether to study more or to hold on to a job. This kind of decision the farmer has to make when you tell him to shift his practices from one to another. Who's going to finance that transition period? And we need to look at his life because he's living on farming. If he's not living on farming, then he can experiment. If he's gone to Europe, work for some time and come back, or gone to the Gulf and come back, he has got some resources on which to survive for 2-3 years. Then he can go for change of practices overnight because he's got something to fall back on. But a farmer who's living on his income, He can make a big shift. He can make small shifts at a time. And we need to appreciate that.
So, like you said earlier, someone has to take charge and all, so like, see, we also give like organic solutions now, right from like introducers, right from right from soil preparation for health of the plants to final like pest management solution. Now we like we have all these inputs, we have like seeds and all that, so we are willing to take. I mean, if any of the group farming, I mean, they want to get into this, organic, we can support them with like seeds and some inputs, and we can take that risk. And we are already in talks with certain groups, more than the individuals, we are in talks with certain groups, because they it become like more trustworthy, like you said, this, when it's a group, I mean, all of them, they can take it together. So if anybody wants to get into organic farming, and like we are willing to take that risk. I've already shared my number. You can get in touch with us, and then we can take it further from there.
Okay, thanks, Irfhan. Now, question from Abhay Mohurle. How can we manage dried plants of cotton after cotton collecting instead of burning them? Any panelists, Mervin?
I mean, not only cotton, I think a lot of people asked similar questions. Any kind of waste that is generated, this waste decomposer is an amazing solution, literally amazing solution, and extremely low cost. There are many other waste decomposers available in the market privately, which people are selling, but they cost a lot and they cannot be reused. Once you buy it, then again you have to go and buy it from them, continuously keep buying from them. It's a pretty expensive. So this, I have found it for any kind of waste. 40 days, it completely decomposes. So just leave it on your farm, whether it is cotton waste or any other kind of crop waste that is there. Don't burn it. Don't throw it away. Just leave it on the ground. Or if it is even, for example, grass or weeds, when we cut with the weed cutter, we just leave it there and spray the waste decomposer on top of that. So everything decomposes beautifully. It will add to your soil, richness of your soil. The earthworms will start increasing because there's a lot of mulch and the compost is getting formed. And literally in months, and your soil structure starts changing if you keep regularly doing it.
Yeah, so by the time when people have access to this product, I mean, it sounds excellent. I mean, I'm sure people will have it like very soon.
See,
Like what you also tell people is just buy like whatever leaves and waste in one corner and just throw a little vermicompost on it. Even that helps a lot. So now we can start doing that. Little vermicompost, it already has the microbes, it already has the eggs of earthworms and all that. At least that will help fasten the whole composting process. So you can start with that. And definitely, like, very soon we'll have access to this product we just talking about.
There are two things I want to share. One is on how to use. You can go to YouTube and check out these. There are multiple videos by Krishan Chandra, KRISHANCHANDRA, Kishan Chandra. He has given a lot of information on various kinds of uses, including the micronutrients and the general waste decomposer, etc. And on how to buy it. Here is I'll show you the other page. Yeah, on Amazon you can buy it. It's available on Amazon. This is how it looks like. This is from Amazon, what I'm showing you. On Amazon.in, it's available. There are multiple sellers who are selling it. It costs only 30 rupees, and this is the picture. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. So I'll go to the next question, which is from Abhay again. Is there any instrument which tests organic food or chemical food? How is organic food different from chemical food? Okay, we just focus on this question. First part of the question, is there any instrument which tests organic food or chemicals in food?
But to the best of my knowledge, practically no. You can't generally ask the question, are there chemicals? If you go to a lab, you have to ask them specifically, you test for this chemical, that chemical, XYZ chemical, and then they'll test for the presence of that particular chemical. For example, if somebody has sprayed weedicide, you can glyphosate whether it is present. You can check, But generally, to say that whether chemicals are present, it is not possible. But the best way, ultimately, the best way which I rely on is your taste. When you eat the organic vegetables, naturally grown vegetables, the way they taste completely different. And again, you don't need to keep them in the fridge. Even if you keep them outside, they last much longer. They don't get spoiled quickly or easily. And obviously, when you eat them, you will know. I mean, you buy organic vegetable once, cook, and then you have your regular store vegetables and cook, you will know the difference. The same vegetable from here and there, you'll know the difference. There's a massive difference in the taste.
Okay. Yes.
So even in the taste, and once you start eating organic, in the morning, suddenly if you eat like something which is with chemicals, you know the difference. You'll feel the taste of the chemical.
Other important point I want to stress here, because people, when they go to buy organic vegetables or fruits, they go with that same mindset what they have seen in the chemical things. They want good looking fruits of a all equal size, of the same color, same shape. Nature does not produce anything like that. Anything is not produced like that. Everything is full of diversity, unevenness, different sizes, different colors, different shapes. Some are slightly eaten by the worms. All these things are there. It is definitely organic. If nothing is there, it's beautifully shining, the same size, it looks so very nice on the outside, 100% it is chemical. Because only there it grows like that. And naturally, when something is grown, it will have all this crookedness, unevenness, and all those things as part and parcel.
Yes, just a continuation for what you just said. Like even when we suggest, people when they buy vegetables, they should look at least which are not fresh. They should look at which are eaten, but there are some insects on it. Which means if the insects are sitting on it, then even we can consume that. And if something is like really fresh, even insect can't eat it, then even we can't consume that. So I mean it's okay. I mean there's some worm and whatever, you can just pull it off and you can eat it. Like you said, I mean they all do come in same sizes and all that. So the next time you're buying the vegetables, look for something which is ugly. In fact, see, I'm from the strategic background. I always say, okay, you look at this, it doesn't look great. That means it is organic. That's how we sell the product. We tell people, I mean, this is something which doesn't look great, so it is organic.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for those. And I would agree with one thing, that once you eat, of course, now this is that once you, for how long people have been eating, chemical foods from their usual market, so they don't know the taste anymore. But definitely, I have seen that once you eat something and you're biting it in your mouth, and before it's going down, you get a funny sensation in your mouth. That was not like how you used to get it. A tomato never used to taste like that 15 years back, or an apple. It's tasting a bit funny. Then that is definitely an indicator for chemicals being in it. Also, another thing I've noticed is that, okay, you buy something and you keep it like bananas. These chemical bananas, they get spoiled in a different way. All the spots come on them. Even the apple, when you open it inside, it's not even. I always remember natural organic things. They ripen equally at the same time. You don't see all these dark light spots inside them. Uh, which I consider, those chemical molecules have gone in some parts of the fruit or the vegetable. So, so be more, look more and taste more all of these fruits and vegetables that you buy. And no doubt you'll make a mistake the first time, but then if you observe these things, then you should know next time that you shouldn't go back to the same place. Okay, so uneven ripening, certain spots of colors inside the fruit, and slightly off metallic or sharp taste in your mouth, that is not of the banana or the apple. That's another indicator. I would go, we've got another, yeah, just about 7, 8 minutes left. I'm taking the next question from Sunny. It's for, he says, Miguel and Irfan, could you please share your contact details here? Thank you. So if both our panelists have not done it already, they can just type their phone number in the chat box for Sonny. Sharmila Sinkar, how do you deal with rats? Mervin, do you have, how do you manage?
We don't deal with rats, the snakes deal with rats.
Oh,
We
wow.
make
That means now Sharmila is even more scared.
we don't kill the snakes. We don't eliminate snakes from our. In nature, everything works with balance. The problem is when we remove that balance, when we destroy that balance, is when you have this infestation of particular pest or particular reptile, animal, or whatever it happens. So rats, there is no other way. I mean, rat traps and all work only in the house, not in the field or outside. Of course, cats can help you in the house, but not in the field. In the field is the snakes. As long as snakes are there, rat population will be always under control. They'll never get eliminated. They'll always be under control. They won't go out of control.
Okay, Mervin, even I've had a problem. My plot is small here around my house, and I have an ancestral plot also. But I don't know what's eating stuff over there. But at least around my house, I see bandigouts. Okay, they are the big rats. They're so big that the cats run away from them. Okay, so unless it's going to be a king cobra, I don't think an ordinary cobra is also going to take what we say panga with a bandicoot. How do you manage bandicoots?
I really don't have a solution, except for if there are particular things. For example, we put sweet potato in between as a intercrop on the spaces, so that for wheat control as well as one crop you get. We found rats increase tremendously because they love the sweet potato. They start coming in, digging the soil, and going for the sweet potato. Then we
Yes.
have to remove the sweet potato. So some of the things you can do is, if there are particular things they are going after, remove them, so that
So
don't they are there, but they won't come too much.
So the one thing that I have been doing is trying to block all those places that they're coming through, where they're climbing from top or from down, putting proper gates and all of that. And I realized, especially the bandicoots, they were not coming in for the produce; they were just digging into all the roots and trying eating up the earthworms. So you see, the plant produce was all kind of out from the ground, hole here, hole there, and big holes. You know, so even I have not found a way to deal with bandicoots, except to block them in different um, ways. So going on to the next question is Snigdha Joshi is asking, how can we order your products? And I think she's referring to you, Miguel. Sorry, Mervin. If you've already typed your details over there in the chat box, I'm sure she'll get it. Question from Maureen Fernandes. Do any of the panelists conduct or can connect you to existing organic farmers for a farm tour?
Yeah, of course. Like we can give a whole list of farmers and so many institutes or students or other farmers they can go and visit. Yeah. Now because of pandemic, this I saw, but very soon we'll be conducting like hands-on training, like for a day. They have to actually get your hands dirty. Otherwise, there are a lot of things available on Google, on YouTube and all. If you want to like actually learn about farming, you have to actually get your hands dirty. So they will be conducting like this kind of courses, and after that we'll be taking you for practicals, to all this, to visit all the farms. Yeah. But if you want to visit particular farm, you can tell us. We can tell you where it goes. So the farm which is nearest to you. I've just typed in my contact number. You can message me, and then you can visit.
Okay, so I've taken all of the questions from the Q&A box, and I'm now just looking into the chat box if somebody has put any question there. I have two devices.
Also, I just want to request, all those visitors we were talking about, want to go to different farmers. Please try to understand all these farmers are busy. They are not like tourist guides, they're not paid for a guide, for a round. So please take appointment, please inform them when you're coming, and if possible, go in groups. Because they really don't have that much time to entertain each and everyone who goes there. Okay, so if you get in touch with us, then we can have like a group, and then we can inform us, we'll tell you where to go and when to go. Prior appointment from the farmer. And see to it that you buy produce also from there.
Okay. So here is from Sean, to all the panelists, do I need to test the soil for any harmful chemicals that might have been in the soil due to some waste bottles lying in the soil, as land has not been used for close to 50 years? Okay, so land not used for 50 years. Is it a good advice to go and test the soil? He's not said the amount of land, but should that be a standard thing to do? Get it, from 5, 6 places, collect soil, or test it.
It can do a soil test, but not for chemicals. Soil test will not tell you whether chemicals are present or not. A soil test will tell you what are the deficiencies, the pH level of the soil, what are the deficiencies in the soil, etc. That you can do. But if the soil has not been used for 50 years, then obviously there is not likely to be any chemicals, because 50 years back there were no chemicals used anywhere in India, hardly. So it's unlikely that chemicals are there. But otherwise, you take care of the soil, do the multi-cropping, intercropping, mulching, put the, either Jivamrat or waste composer kind of microbial solutions on the soil. Soil will take care of itself. It will regenerate in no time, especially the soil which has not been used for a long time. It's a good soil. Most probably it would be covered with weeds, I assume, and small shrubs and all that, which is very good, because if it is covered totally with weeds and shrubs and all that, then underneath that soil will be very fertile. You don't need to worry about it. You can very quickly regenerate that kind of soil, rather than a soil which has been intensely chemically farmed. That will take longer and tougher to regenerate.
Yes, unfortunately, our farmlands are, less fertile than the barren land.
Yes, that is because people have been fiddling with the soil and making it barren, while as a natural land that is there, that nature takes care of it and gives it the right nutrients. Yes, so we have reached our time of 8 o'clock, and it's been long 2 hours, and I've taken all of the questions from Q&A and also from the chat box. So I think we are done with the session. My thanks once again to Mervin Fernandes, Miguel Braganza, and Irfhan Shaikh uh, for giving us your time and your valuable advice and ideas, and we wish all of you all the best with your efforts in trying to promote organic farming, inspire our youth, um, inspire and trying to create platforms for customers to also learn the importance of organic farming and organic food, and especially the efforts you are making to help farmers, especially if I get to the market and get to people. And I am very sure that it requires combined efforts from all directions, making people more aware, and organizing, promoting farmers markets. And I would like to mention Miguel has been doing a lot, publicizing organic farming a lot, getting people together, and the list of all the contacts and people he gave for Goa. That he is already a walking, talking encyclopedia of all this information to help bridge, uh, get farmers and people who want healthier food more close together. Thank you, and wish you all the best, and have a good evening.